under the mystical atmosphere of biblical legends and the splendor of the heavens, the story of the four fallen angels, the sacred beings created by God but who chose the path of rebellion, has become a dramatic legend that has stirred people's hearts through thousands of years of mankind's spiritual history. These characters are not merely symbols of temptation, but also living proof of the battle between light and darkness, between loyalty and betrayal, between the purity of heaven and the decay of hell. In the sacred universe of the Bible, where angels were originally born with the purpose of praising and serving the Almighty, a few fell into the temptation of arrogance, envy, and the desire to rise above themselves, thus transforming themselves into cursed beings, exiled from heaven and severely punished. Let us join Jesus' stories to learn the story of the four fallen angels, Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub, which not only tells of the degradation process of these magnificent beings, but also serves as a warning about the immeasurable consequences of losing faith and loyalty to the Creator. According to the records in the Bible, angels were originally created before the world and mankind came into being, with the function of praising and serving God, each with a distinct task, from the messenger, the guardian, to the warrior guarding heaven. Among them, the angels with outstanding dignity in beauty, power, and wisdom were often designated as high-ranking archangels, leading the heavenly armies. However, not all maintained their faith and loyalty. Some angels allowed greed, arrogance, envy, and ambition to control them, causing them to decide to challenge the supreme power of God. These angels, when straying from the sacred light, became fallen, exiled from heaven, and destined to live forever in darkness, until ultimately facing eternal punishment. Among them, the four names most frequently mentioned and that cause fear in the hearts of believers are Lucifer, the light-bearer who later became Satan; Semyaza, the one who witnesses God; Azazel, he who is strengthened by God; and Beelzebub, lord of the flies. Lucifer, literally meaning the light-bearer, is said to be the most beautiful and powerful angel, once holding the role of leading the celestial choir of heaven. However, arrogance caused Lucifer to be dissatisfied with his current position, and according to Christian tradition, he harbored the intention to rise up, believing that he deserved to be placed on an equal footing, even surpassing the Almighty. As recorded in Lucifer's self-declaration in the book of Isaiah, "I will ascend to heaven, I will set my throne above the stars of God, I will sit on the mount of assembly, and I will become like the Most High." Isaiah 14, verse 13 to 14. The temptation of greed spread as Lucifer persuaded some other angels to join the uprising, leading to a fierce heavenly battle, in which God sent Archangel Michael along with loyal angels to contend with Lucifer and his followers. As a result, the fierce battle left no escape for the fallen, and according to the record in the book of Revelation, there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought, but ultimately could not hold their position. Thus the great dragon, the ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, was cast down to the earth. Revelation 12, 7-9. From then on, Lucifer was no longer called the light-bearer, but became Satan, the adversary, who continuously seeks to tempt, deceive mankind, trying to lead them away from the Almighty and into sin. Meanwhile, Semyaza, known by the name the one who witnesses God, is a symbol of wisdom and erudition, but also the leader in the uprising of the Watchers. According to the book of Enoch, an apocryphal work, cited by some biblical authors, Semyaza fell into temptation when, along with other angels numbering about 200, became enamored with the daughters of men. They not only violated God's command, but also spread secret knowledge about astrology, magic, for various medicines, weapons, and jewelry, leading to the explosion of violence, moral decay, and chaos spreading across the earth. This event created a mixed offspring, the Nephilim giants, who lived by violence and destruction, causing the world to fall into chaos and sin. The devastation brought by these fallen angels reached the point that even the Almighty had to intervene, by punishing them and the lineage of the Nephilim through the great flood, erasing all sins and rebuilding order for mankind. Thereby, Semyaza and his accomplices were bound in the depths of hell, where they must endure punishment until the final judgment, as described in the book of Enoch, with severe condemnation. Azazel, whose name means "he who is strengthened by God," carries the image of an angel exceptional in the art of warfare and the dissemination of violent knowledge. In the book of Enoch, Azazel is prominent for teaching mankind how to forge weapons, armor, and how to extract metals, as well as methods of beautification for women, such as hair dye and makeup, which led to the outbreak of violence, vanity, and perverted religion. The knowledge that Azazel imparted was not intended to enhance human life, but rather turn them into tools of cruelty, causing society to fall into chaos and sin. For these great sins, Azazel was severely punished by the Almighty. According to the book of Enoch, Archangel Raphael was sent to bind Azazel, cast him into a deserted land, where he would be forgotten and endure pain until the day of final judgment, as a testament to God's severity towards those who dare to rebel. Beelzebub, with a name meaning Lord of the Flies, is a symbol of filth, disease, and demonic forces. According to Jewish tradition, Beelzebub was once the god of the Philistines, an enemy people of Israel, worshipped in the city of Ekron, where the people believed that he could bring or cure plagues and calamities. However, it was precisely from the worship of Beelzebub that the Philistines encountered horrific disasters, when the legend recounts that, after the Ark of the Covenant of the Almighty was brought into their land, all severity and disease broke out consecutively, leading to death and the annihilation of many. In the New Testament, Beelzebub is again identified as the king of demons, synonymous with Satan, and was used by the Pharisees to accuse Jesus when he cast out demons, claiming that his power came from Beelzebub, but Jesus refuted by saying, "My kingdom is not divided with the kingdom of the adversary. If Satan casts out demons by his own authority, then his kingdom cannot stand." Matthew 12:22-28. Thus, Beelzebub appears as a symbol of riot, sin, and destruction, one who is always lurking, seeking to destroy the souls and lives of men. The stories of these four fallen angels are not merely exciting anecdotes, but also contain many profound messages about diligence, loyalty, and the consequences of arrogance, greed, and betrayal of God. The events recorded in the Bible, from the book of Isaiah, the book of Revelation, to the book of Enoch, though not always regarded as part of the canonical scriptures, all emphasize that although the power of these angels once shook even heaven, in the end they could not escape the fate of punishment and complete abolishment. Their story is a reminder that, even if we reach the heights of power, wisdom, or fame, if we lose the fear of God and ignore the true spiritual values, then a dark fate will always be lurking and drag us into the abyss of sin and regret. In that context, the prophecy in Revelation serves as a final commandment delivered. "I saw an angel coming down from heaven, holding the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. He had seized the dragon, the ancient serpent, that is the devil and Satan, and bound him in the bottomless pit until 1,000 years had passed. Until when time had elapsed, Satan would be released for a short time to once again cause deception throughout the earth. But ultimately he would be thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where he, along with the beast and the false prophet, would suffer unending punishment forever." Revelation 20:1-15. This prophecy not only portrays the ultimate victory of God and the faithful, but also serves as a clear warning that no one, however powerful, can oppose the will of the Creator and escape the fate of final judgment. Because of these reasons, the story of the four fallen angels has inspired countless works of literature, art, and theological study throughout the ages. The symbols such as Lucifer, from light to darkness, Semyaza, from erudition to failure and arrogance, Azazel, from teaching the art of warfare to God's punishment, and Beelzebub, from a revered deity to a demonic embodiment of filth and destruction, are all living proofs of the internal struggle between good and evil. Each character carries within them a tragic story, showing that power and beauty, however high, can only exist when accompanied by loyalty and the fear of the Almighty. When the human heart forgets its roots, forgets the teachings of the Scriptures, and is led astray by the temptations of materialism, then the consequences of falling will be inevitable, as warned by every sacred line in the Bible and the book of Enoch. Looking back at all that has happened, it can be seen that the four fallen angels are not only mythological figures of theology, but also symbols of self-destruction, of arrogance, and the judgment of God upon those who dare to forget the pure nature of the soul. From Lucifer, who was once the light-bearer and became Satan, the tempter. From Semyaza, whose erudition turned him into the leader of the fallen watchers. From Azazel, whose knowledge of warfare transformed into the source of violence and vanity, to Beelzebub, from a deity worship to a symbol of filth and disease. All demonstrate that regardless of any power or wisdom, if not connected with faith and the fear of the Almighty, then the fate of man and all beings will always fall into destruction and ruin. These stories have become an indispensable part of mankind's spiritual heritage, reminding each of us of the value of honesty, humility, and reverence for the highest principles of the universe. The evidence from the Bible and ancient texts, such as the Book of Enoch, shows us that, even though the fallen angels may bring about storms of devastation, even though they have disrupted the order of heaven, in the end, sacred justice is always carried out. Despite their cunning, their fate had been predetermined: to be bound, exiled into darkness, and to endure punishment until the day of final judgment, where no one can hide their sins from the light of truth. These stories are not only intended for judgment, but also as a reminder to mankind that only by recognizing our own limitations, by living with humility and loyalty to the Creator, can we avoid the temptations of power and the mistakes that lead to the collapse of the soul. From a theological perspective, characters such as Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub have opened up a rich intellectual space, where scholars, thinkers, and artists continuously explore, debate, and reenact their images in various ways. They are not only images of betrayal, but also symbols of invaluable lessons about life, about the relationship between man and God, about the necessity of maintaining loyalty and correcting misguided ambitions. These images, although used for different purposes throughout the ages, always retain their inherent allure because they reflect an eternal truth, that true light always triumphs over darkness, and that every traitor, no matter how powerful, will ultimately face the punishment of sacred justice. Over thousands of years, as the heritage of biblical legends has been passed down orally and recorded, the story of the four fallen angels has become a source of inspiration for journeys in search of truth, for dialogues between religions, and even for heated debates about the origin of good and evil. It reminds mankind that in any society, no matter how much technological or cultural achievement is reached, if the spiritual roots and fundamental moral values are forgotten, then decay and chaos will always lurk in the shadows. And in the context of the modern world, when people are increasingly preoccupied with material life, the warnings from these ancient biblical stories become more valuable than ever. As a reminder that no matter how advanced we become, loyalty and the fear of God remain the indispensable foundation of a peaceful and sustainable society. Overall, the journey of the four fallen angels has opened a door leading mankind into the world of spiritual symbols, of ancient stories containing mysteries and profound lessons about life. These characters, although once possessing extraordinary power and wisdom, ultimately could not escape their fate when they lost the security of faith and reverence. Their story is a lesson reminding us that, however many creative and outstanding capabilities man may have, if he strays into the temptations of ambition and arrogance, then his fate can only lead to impasse and destruction. And as the prophecy from on high states, in the end, when the light of God spreads throughout the universe, all who have fallen will have to face the inevitable punishment, a dark ending, but also a manifestation of the ultimate justice, where good and evil are clearly defined, where true faith will be honored and eternal. Through every line, through every telling in the Bible and the Book of Enoch, we not only learn about the distant past of these magnificent angels, but also absorb the lesson about the necessity of living a life of faith, responsibility, and self-control in the face of the temptations of power and materialism. The symbols of Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub, though originally merely mythological figures, have now become a living warning for each of us, as pride and greed always lurk in every corner of the heart. They are the reflections of failure when man forgets his spiritual roots, forgets the fear of the Creator, and thus lead us to realize that only by maintaining and nurturing faith can we stand firm against all temptations and challenges of life. Thus, the story of the four fallen angels is not merely an ancient legend, but also a strong reminder of each person's responsibility in maintaining a sacred relationship with God. It is a journey full of tragedy, yet abundant with lessons. A testimony that true light always shines, even if obscured by the darkness of betrayal. Whenever we listen to the call of our hearts, we will realize that only humility, honesty, and reverence are the eternal values that help us avoid the temptations that lead to destruction. And in the treasury of human knowledge, these classic stories will forever be the guiding torch, helping us find our way back to the sacred light, where justice, love, and faith are always honored. And finally, under the shimmering light of the universe, when all the storms of sin have passed, only the echo of faith and the promise of a day of fair judgment remain. We will see that, even though the fallen angels have tried to hide their sins under the cloak of power, the truth will ultimately be revealed. As the prophecy from Revelation says, God has spoken, and the truth has been proven, that those who have fallen because of arrogance and not maintaining faith will finally be locked in the abyss of judgment, where there is no place for deceit or sin. That is the promise of God for the faithful souls, as well as a warning for those who dare to forget the principles of life, who dare to confront the sacred light. The story of the four fallen angels, from the tragic fragments of Lucifer, Semyaza, Azazel, and Beelzebub, is living evidence of the endless battle between good and evil, between loyalty and betrayal, which every person in any era needs to reflect upon and draw lessons for life. From here, we may ask ourselves whether in the daily lives of each person, similar temptations and challenges are quietly emerging. Whether we have enough strength and loyalty to not stray on the dark path of arrogance and greed. It is precisely at that moment, when the light of faith shines upon the soul, that we will find comfort, the guidance of the Creator, helping us overcome all difficulties and keep our path toward goodness. And thus, the story of the four fallen angels is not only a distant past, but also a living reality, a timeless message that God wants to convey to mankind. Hold fast to your faith. Do not let arrogance and ambition lead you, for in the end, only the light of honesty and love can erase the darkness of sin and betrayal. With all that has been stated above, we realize that, in the vast universe of faith and knowledge, the story of the four fallen angels remains a profoundly meaningful reminder of the finiteness of human power and the eternity of sacred light. No matter how much darkness may cover, no matter how often temptations arise, God's promise, a promise of the victory of good, of the restoration of order and the honor of true faith, will always be the guiding torch for every soul. And thus, the journey of the fallen angels, though carrying all the pain and sin, ultimately becomes evidence of the power of faith, of the necessity of loyalty, and of the eternal justice that only the Creator can grant to mankind. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please support us by liking, sharing, and inviting everyone to join our community by subscribing to our channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.